All right. So Pierce Brosnan, cowboy hat, Texas, who had former James Bond becomes ruthless oil baron in their bingo card. Welcome back to the First, the Last Nerdom, the podcast where we explore the first, the last, and everything in between across film, television, and pop culture. And once again, we're settling up for one of our favorite special series shows, Binge Worthy, ? The idea is simple. We pick a TV show we're curious about or have been meaning to check out, watch the first 3 episodes, and then decide if it earns a full season binge or gets left behind in the dust. This week, we're heading out west with The Sun, a sweeping Western drama that chronicles the rise and rot of a powerful Texas family across multiple generations. No, it's not Dynasty, but it is based on the novel by Philip Meyer. The series blends frontier brutality, oil boom and ambition, and family legacy anchored by a commanding performance by Pierce. From Comanche captivity to blood-soaked survival to boardroom and power plays, The Sun uses its opening scenes to establish a harsh, unsentimental view of the American West, one where violence and legacy are deeply intertwined. It's not a romantic cowboy story, but a grim look at how empires are built and what they cost. We'll be breaking down how these first 3 episodes handle time jumps over its 150-year arc, character development, and tons, and whether the show's blend of Western grit and prestige drama make it truly binge-worthy. So hitch up, pour a stiff drink, and prepare for a story where the past never stayed buried. This is binge-worthy. This is the First Last Nerdom, and this week we're riding into The Sun. It's very tricky. No, I joke, but I'm so glad that we got this. I'm going to say one word, the plum tree, or we're going to throw that in there in the mix. We can throw a grenade there out there. But I am Mike, and this is Tom, and this is our little binge-worthy show that we do here. Let me go to our bona fides, and we'll get going. You can find the First Last Nerdom here. This is our website, firstlastnerdom.com. Also, look for our forthcoming podcast on Netflix. No, that's a joke. But anyway, no, really, truly, home base here is at with 333 videos as of now. Plus 1 in the can that we are not counting because the technical anyway. But we are the First Last Nerdom on YouTube. Tom, why don't you take it away and tell us about Reddit?
That's a loaded question, but yeah, I'm on Reddit under First Last Nerdom. I promote our stuff there, so you might have come over from there, possibly if they haven't banned or deleted my post. But yeah, I'm there, First Last Nerdom. But if you want to find the solid place to where I'll promote our stuff, it's on X under First Last Nerdom as well. But yeah, I'll post our current stuff and some nerdy stuff as well that applies to our realm of activity. But you have some socials as well.
Realm of activity, yes, sir, Tom. At @SuffolkingJewish_. You'll find me on X, and sometimes me and Tom talk. I know that's crazy, but we do. I know that there are some people out there that would not like us to talk. Actually, this is made up. Nope, nobody says that. But anyway, The Sun, trying to be all slick here. So we have this premise here. I'll try to set the stage if I can find my mouse so I can go to my notes. Yeah. This is the thing. I came across this show. I don't know about you, but I come across these shows where I get curious about them. And most of the time I don't do anything. I don't bite. And it'll be through YouTube shorts. Like if I do, and I fight hard against it, I don't click on the shorts. I try not to, but I do. And when I do, sometimes it's like some stupid movie scene or micro scene or whatever we call them now, or TikTok scene, whatever. And this was one of them, and I kept ignoring it, and I fell into it, and I loved it, and I wanted to recommend it for our show this week. It actually is kind of a dud. I think it came a little too early for what it was, because you recommended a couple shows that I'm sure that we'll be throwing on the binge worthy rack here in due time. And we're not held to our normal precept thing. This is just a nerd show, and it's just really cool. And I fell into it, and I was kind of in that. I want to see a Western, but I've seen a lot lately. But I want to see something that is maybe shorter. And I kept seeing this stuff happening, and therein, and then you see. What do you think, Tom? What are your thoughts on this guy here? I've talked for like 10 minutes. I've talked for 65 minutes straight, suffocating you. And I'll let the pillow up off of your face and start trying to kill you so you can talk.
Say what? No. Yeah, no. When you were talking about shorts, I was going to salute your shorts. Yeah.
Camp on a wanna.
Yeah, yeah. Glad you picked up what I was dropping there. But but I'd never heard of this show, The Sun. I've heard of Pierce Brosnan, but yeah, I had never heard of this show. So yeah, I was
Same.
I was kind of curious about it. So yeah, I'm all in for westerns. I just finished recently. Well, maybe a little time ago, but I just recently finished Red Dead Redemption, the first one. I finished the second one. I'm kind of arbitrary that way. And I went back to because I'd never finished the first Red Dead Redemption, so and there's a time gap with those as well. A prequel and a sequel kind of thing going. Kind of a jump in time. So yeah, that was the interesting thing about this show is it's kind of takes place at least the first few episodes is jumps from when Pierce Brosnan was young and when he was
Hmm.
older, and kind of sets the stage. Sort of, you get insight into his character from what happened to him previously and who he is today with his family. He's got a son and a granddaughter that we first meet. But yeah, so they're kind of a big family. They were cattle ranchers, and they're trying to get into the oil business in Texas. Big T. So yeah, I was kind of, obviously I didn't know much about the show. Didn't realize it was based on a book. And then, as the credits were rolling on the first episode, I noticed that the writer was executive producer, and he also had a hand in writing the script for the first episode. So yeah, evidently he's kind of hands on. Have you read the book or just
I've not.
watched the series?
Yeah,
And
no, I had not read the book at all. I did not. I was not aware of that too prior to us me picking this for this week's show. So no, I do want to investigate the books and see those in due time. Um, but yeah, with Pierce, this is like that. And forgive me, Tom, but then there was the BBC one, the one that had, I think it had not Renner but Hardy in it. That you had offline, you had recommended that one. It was like a British kind of like not the mob, but it was like one anyway. So,
Mhm.
Pierce and these really top A-list celebrities have been doing these shows like Tulsa King, like Stallone, and anyway,
Oh,
this is why I say this came early. It came really early in 2017, and I was just kind of give a little bit of a background.
mhm,
That's the problem. Like it got buried. Like I was the same as you. Like without me, like seeing things or being exposed to the material on, I kept seeing clips of this show that I had never seen before, and then like I seen all the obscure people, and then occasionally, like when I would see Pierce, you'd be like, wait, what is this thing that I'm watching? And you get pulled in and you get sucked in. It asks you more, it gets you more questions. So it's a very unique part of time that we're in, I guess, for how we choose to watch what we do. I'm sure there's like a whole thing there, but I can't write a thesis on it. nor would I. But that's the problem with the show. It got buried. It came out, like I said, in 2017, which was an insane year for prestige television because I don't know about you, but like I I was not there was no suffering in quality, maybe pacing, I don't know, but um there is no suffrage in like I don't feel like people were phoning it in or whatever, but at the same time you had Handmaid's Tale. I remember because I got hooked on that, like, and I'm sure maybe we'll take a turn with it here. Now, further seasons that kind of fell away from, but that's a whole different theory of the case that we'll get into. Like, if you get to know how I watch things and how Tom watches things too, we have our little things. But you had that landscape was oversaturated, and the sun just disappeared. Anyway, I'll throw it back to you and say, what do you think about the craftsmanship and whatnot from there?
Yeah, so, we get introduced to the family straight off. The main character, McCullough, he's with his family, out in the Old West. They're sitting down to dinner. Dad's, away, and, Indians attack, and, things get a little rough. I think, right when the attack happens, that's when, it switches over, and we're introduced to, McCullough as he's an older gentleman, a grandfather, and they find a hanged man. So yeah, the one thing that kind of caught my eye was that, yeah, it wasn't shying away from violence.
Mhm.
Very violent show. Also, fun fact. I usually bring the facts. I'm kind of fact light on this one, but I did look and see that Sam Neill was originally going to play the role that Pierce Brosnan was, and
No
kind of
kidding.
left for personal
Uh,
reasons. And I saw that before I watched the show, and like that first scene with Pierce Brosnan, it almost I could I could almost see him kind of doing a Sam Neill impression. I could definitely see Sam Neill as the character, even though both of them are not from Texas. Obviously, one's
right.
British and one's Australian. But I don't know. I can see either one of them in the role. So yeah, it was kind of interesting fun fact there. We love Sam Neill for his
Absolutely.
work in Jurassic Park and our personal favorite Possession. But yeah, Pierce came up to the table and took over. And yeah, he's a solid he's also, when you have that head of the family kind of vibe, you want someone that can give that presence, that gravitas,
Right.
and he immediately kind of brings that to the table with his presence. Yeah, you know he's somebody when he steps into the frame.
Yeah, this is not. This is different than Yellowstone. This is different than yeah. You had these things are normally would never be put together in a sentence, let alone compared to each other. But you had mentioned, the Red Dead series, and that is absolutely. Yep, there we go. This is Boomer Juice. Though at Seven Up, excuse me, that's our classic Seven Up there
Yep.
for our binge worthy, our second show. From our perspective, our second show. Anyway, um,
Mhm.
this show is slow. I'm okay with that. And when I say it's slow like Mad Men as a touch point. Did it catch you as that? Did you catch that at all, Tom? At all, or get that vibe? I know you're not up on Mad Men like I am, but I think that you can appreciate it. I think you like it anyway as a thing. Like maybe not your all time favorite, but you can you understand like and you appreciate a good story when you see it.
Yeah, yeah. I originally, when I started watching Mad Men, I don't think I had AMC or whatever channel it was showing on, so I bought the first season, and 'cause on the recommend of a coworker. And yeah, I didn't really get into it. Kind of put it away, and then a few years later, when I didn't have anything else to watch, I threw it on again to give it a second chance. Usually, I don't give things a second chance, but I gave it a second
Mhm.
chance. I fell in love with the series, and so I binged the whole several seasons to catch up, and then finished it out. So yeah, it's not one I'll probably revisit anytime soon, but I did enjoy it. So yeah. So yeah, a good drama is a good drama. And although with this kind of intercutting between, I'm sure as the stories progress, one they kind of probably balance out. But I was more invested in the Eli and McCullough when he was younger, maybe because it was
Hmm. I do too. Yeah.
more action packed and maybe a little bit more, a little bit more stuff was going on. Whereas, in the first episode, you got the big party and whatnot.
Right.
You
Well,
do-
yeah, I was kind of bored with the party, like not in a bad way, but like not in a way like I'm going to turn this off, but like I
Mhm,
was also drawn to more to the action, and then of course they so some scenes are just some scenes, right? So like there's just
mhm,
going to be some prolonged exposition because we're at a social party and we Jesus fucking Christ, we have the daughter and then the
mhm,
daughter's husband and then the son-in-law and then
mhm.
you know
Yeah.
I mean, I'm kind of joking, but like but in a way that's another way to build tension to bait your palate so that you come back and you want to see the young Eli because what the hell happened to the family? And then you see and then they're captured. And then it's the brothers, it's this slow dissolution of the family. And it is brutal. It doesn't hold back. It is more, Quentin Tarantino, um, more Hateful Eight. It's not that bad, but it's much more Hateful Eight than it is Yellowstone and, kind of like violence that you can see coming from a mile away, but it would be, Kevin Costner on a mountainside talking about land rights and legacy. And, I'm not making fun of that. There's nothing wrong with
Mhm,
that. But the Kevin Costner is his own brand of ingenuity, and I'm glad that we have him. And
mhm,
we've covered Waterworld, which you wouldn't think would have a vibrant
mhm,
following, but it does, and people really take it seriously as a serious thing. All joking aside, but
mhm,
kind of pulling this back to the thing, this show when it came out, it had the numbers, but the problem was the pacing that ultimately did it under. People just weren't sticking around for that. It was getting to 2.6 million, like for the premiere, and but the problem was that the audience skewed older, and
mhm.
they're not sticking around for the ads. They're just not.
Right.
And then that's kind of unfortunately that's kind of the backside trap of like a IFC or a AMC,
Mhm,
or a TMC, like where they have solid numbers, but
mhm,
eh, population's not growing per se. So unfortunately for this show, it just didn't catch on. Just didn't get it. Had good numbers, it just didn't. So AMC pulled the plug before season two even aired. So that's where. So why are we covering it?
mhm.
Because we want to answer the question: does this show deserve better, or was it a notable failure?
Yeah.
And more importantly, is it worth your time? I don't know. What do you think, Tom? Like, what you're probably more of a better normie in this case, or whatnot, to kind of come into this fresh and have appreciation. Did it draw you in? Did it bore you? Did it excite you? Did it, what where are you at, my friend?
Well, I was kinda curious. Yeah, it was interesting. It kinda set things up. It was interesting family dynamic with the surrounding people. Yeah, it was interesting. Although, yeah, the big thing. Have you watched both seasons? Have you?
No, I've completed the first season, but I'm like
Yeah,
saving season two. I mean, I know what happens, but I'm
yeah.
saving them for me to enjoy on a rainy afternoon or evening. Therein,
Um,
for the thing,
yeah.
like I do for like a favorite book or something like that I want to read for a long time.
Gotcha. Yeah, my curiosity is how it plays out. Are you left hanging on the second season by the end of it? Does it have kind of a wrap up?
Mm.
That's my big concern. As you invest into it, do you have to fall back to the book? How close to it is the book? Can you then go back to the book to maybe get a satisfying ending? That's usually with something you binge. Yeah, if you're there at the time, you're kind of disappointed if your show gets canceled,
Mm,
but yeah, you were with the journey. It was still alive while it was going on, but whenever a show's kind of dead, a few years dead, and it doesn't have an ending to it, it's kind of hard to recommend as far as because you want a satisfying narrative.
right. Yeah, no, no. I think this one catches a story mid stride, and if you are a stickler for wanting to have a complete ending, you're not going to get this. But you'd probably be better off with just the book. But I would say that the season is predicated upon cutting between those two timelines that Tom had mentioned. One between
Mhm.
1849, when you have young Eli McCullough, and then where he's captured by the Comanche and his family is slaughtered, and then you have the elder one in 1915, where it's Pierce. He's a ruthless cattle baron, an oil tycoon, and he's trying to secure his legacy. He's trying to get the bag. But but you also see, like, you all kind of see this interplay of like, okay, I get that, you see this thing go there, but like at what cost, and
Yeah.
his family, and you kind of see his son deal with like kind of the knock-on effects of, well, I shielded you, so you could have a good life, but you're kind of soft. But
Mhm.
you know um the old man, Pierce, he is justified sometimes, but you also kind of see like trying to start a new path, a new way, a new thing. Like this is kind of like I think this is like a more, and I think Yellowstone is guilty of this too. It's kind of like a mob story, or like a legacy, or a story of
Mhm.
legacy and what that
Mhm.
means,
Mhm.
ultimately. And so it's just kind of funny. I'm not dialed in on Yellowstone, so I have yet to. I mean, I've watched quite a number of things here and there, and it's good what I've seen, but like, I guess I'm just not. I guess wait 20 years and I'll probably be like writing that. I'm not saying anything bad. I'm just saying like, it's just not my first go-to for this, but
Yeah,
it
my
is cool. I do like it. Did draw me in. Totally surprised by it. I do wish that there was like something a little bit more from this, but it is what it is. Did you have a favorite, or did you feel like, aside from the boring kind of like, family. Once you get past that, you kind of get to the drama and the kind of the setup of the people and the interplay. Um,
Yeah.
well,
Yeah,
where are you at, like with one, two, and three as far as it goes?
yeah,
And I'll
they
give the audience your overall sketch of like where the first three land you.
yeah, they all kinda balance each other out. They give a little bit here, a little bit there. But no, yeah, like you were saying with the Yellowstone, that's my mom's show. Yeah,
Mm.
she's all in on on that. But yeah, I was, one of the things that kind of stood out to me, one of the actors that jumped out at me was that Zon McLaren. I was kind of looking for his name. I finally found him. He's in a lot of different shows. I think he's currently in Dark Winds, but I first really noticed him in Reservation Dogs,
Oh yeah, yeah,
which
yeah.
is a wonderful show, which may be something we'd look at. But yeah, he plays Toshaway and the son. He plays the Indian that was kind of or Native American that is kind of he's talking to Eli, and is very much a presence in his world. But yeah, it's I was looking through his catalog, and yeah, he's done a lot of things.
Awesome. Yeah, yeah. No, the acting on this is very, very solid. It just, unfortunately, it just came a little bit too soon. Like Yellowstone came through and they're still around, and this just
Yeah,
didn't stick the landing.
yeah.
Um,
Well,
despite
and
having bona
yeah.
fides.
Yeah, and I think a lot of the problem with these streaming services, and I think maybe with AMC used to not have to try that hard. Everybody was keyed in on Walking Dead and on Breaking Bad, but after those two successes, they've really you know, and you look further back, you had Mad Men. So all you really had to do was really advertise your upcoming shows during those blockbusters, and you'd probably pick up a couple of curious people. But yeah, this is I'm kind of me like probably a lot of other people. They're kind of moved on away from AMC and was looking at their
Hmm.
other streaming services, and so The Sun was never on my radar. I never knew existed, so I think that was a detriment to them that they weren't able to get it out to the masses for the everybody to know about it. For fans, you know, I'm sure Pierce Brosnan has quite a few fans. I know he's got a new show on Paramount about it sounds like maybe a gangster show or something.
Hmm. Yep. Yep.
That looks interesting with
It's
Helen Mirren,
Mob
I
or
think. Yeah,
yeah, yeah, yeah, yeah, yeah. I've heard that it's good.
yeah,
I haven't
yeah,
seen it yet, but
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I had a Paramount for a hot minute, but I don't anymore. So, yeah, it's one of the things about those streaming services. You know, that's 10-20 bucks of your hard-earned cash that's going to it every month. If you do subscribe to it, so you really want to get something. You know, you can't get every streaming service anymore. Used to you could. You get Netflix and Hulu, and you were set. Now you have to get every channel has one. You know, you got Peacock, you got Paramount, you got AMC, and you got Shutter tied to that. You got Disney, which I think is going to fold into Hulu. But yeah, you got so many. You could spend up to $100 a month just on streaming services if you wanted to get
Right.
access to everything. So that's kind of crazy. You're getting into cable money. So if you cut ties, um, yeah, you're back to where you were. So yeah, that's I think that's one of the problems now with streaming, and I'm much more interested in physical media and what there to offer as far as with Canopy is one of those that are through the library, which is free, and you got all these. I've gotten into Giallo movies, and they've got like a big selection of those. So yeah, I think it's one of those things of just the environment that we live in currently. It's kind of at the time 2017, you really didn't have to deal with that. But again, I wasn't aware of the show, so yeah, I don't know how well they
Well,
advertised it.
that was back when the smartphone was just catching on and being a thing, and being in the pocket of everybody's person, and whatnot. So that's just the way that it goes for that. Yeah. Well, you're right. The other thing too is like you got to find these damn things. And then the other thing too is when you find it, where can you watch it? That's the other
Mhm,
side of the coin. And we have experimented here in the First Last Nerdom labs, over what that looks like. We've tried Just Watch. We've tried a few other things
mhm,
on the back end. Tom's done his thing. I've done my thing.
mhm,
We've done things together, and they're just not perfect. But with something like this, it is a good kind of nice out of the way thing. And I will say this: I would rather watch 2 seasons of something that had quality through and through. Yeah, it's sad. It's never going to be again or whatever, but that's okay. It's better that it's out there that you can see it, like Deadwood. This reminded me a lot of Deadwood. The difference is that both were a hit, but now Deadwood, I believe, did get greenlit for expansion of the storyline, but unfortunately, this didn't get that. But nonetheless, this is the story. It is very slow. The first, if you can make it through the first show, I think it's like 50 minutes, about an hour. About that, if you can go through it, and make it, and
mhm.
still enjoy it. See, episode 2 is really, I think, where it kind of takes off and gets
Yeah, it kind of
interesting, and
builds.
then
Yeah, builds.
it,
Yeah.
it I would say episode 2 is the payoff to having patience with the first, because
Yeah.
they did get a little boring. I'm not gonna lie. Like I when I originally watched this back in the summer of 2025, or whenever spring, late spring, early summer, I was like, oh man, this is kind of like did I pick wrong? You know,
Yeah.
but I did stick through it. I took a break and I was hungry is what it was. But back when I finished watching it, I was compelled, and then it was just kind of takes off from there. Now,
Yeah. Yeah,
highs, lows,
you kinda
not
get
everything. Yeah,
yeah. Yeah, with the episode 1, you get the introduction to everybody. You got a
you
lot of
get
people a lot
very
of people.
quick.
You gotta tick off a lot of boxes, but yeah, with the second and
Uh oh.
the oh,
Well, I'll wait for Tom to come back, but I think he had it back, and I
uh,
think he's back. Go ahead,
okay. Yeah, I was
take
just
it
gonna
away.
say, yeah, like with second episode, you get to know, Caesar a little bit more, and you know that interaction with Eli torturing him and whatnot. You've got some quality scenes there, but yeah, like you said, everything kind of continues to build. But yeah, that first episode was sort of like the introduction. I guess the best way to introduce everybody is with a party. So get them all in one place, see the interactions real quick, and kind of go from there.
Right, right. Yeah. Um, yeah, I think that for pacings, episode 2 is an improvement. I think that's key if you can stick it out. And then when you go through, you are rewarded as it goes on. As you get to know the people, you get invested in the
Mhm,
storyline. I don't want
mhm,
to belabor that, but I will say that the second half of Plumtree is like where I got drawn in, and that's kind of like where Eli. There's also kind of like they really know how to layer it in because like how do you go from like your family is fucking slaughtered to
mhm,
becoming part of the tribe to also be like finding pardon my crudeness, but
mhm,
tail. you you it makes sense because like that's kind of like how this adventure is rolling. Anyway, it gets
mhm,
you way more into Eli, and then you kind of see you have maybe not sympathy for him, but you have like much more of like a thing of like, okay, you can
understanding,
kind of
yeah,
now, and the interesting part is in the first episode when he reacts the way he does to certain things that are going on, um, you kind of understand that a little bit more in episode 2, and you're like, "Yeah, he's right." I mean, anyway, but at first you're kinda like, "What the fuck is going" like, you don't quite know how to feel, but as things kinda go on, you don't wanna like him, but you do wanna like him, and
mhm,
good lord, like, they set up everything, like, they set up they give you breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and
mhm,
for episode 2 and 3, because then you're seeing kind of like more of like this 80-year-old birthday party for this old dude,
mhm,
for
mhm,
the party, and he just gets more interesting because he's a sex pot, not really, but like you know he's a very live man, a flesh and blood. And it's just very interesting how that works. And then you kind of see that transition to his son and the grades of men. Anyway, I really enjoy this. If you can't tell, but I feel like I'm probably nerding out too much. So I'll throw it back to Tom to try to find a way out to what his thoughts were on 1, 2, and 3, and if he should stick around and watch it, or what works and what doesn't. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, it's an interesting show. I like the family dynamic. It's interesting drama. Yeah, as far as where I land, it's a solid show. Definitely entertaining. I don't know if I'll follow it all the way through. But yeah, I'm not gonna fault anyone for loving this show and getting into it. But yeah, it may be less of my bag than the others I've watched.
Well, I think that it has elements of Sons of Anarchy, and there's a follow-up
Yeah,
show. um oh
yeah,
god, I can't think of the name. It was like it was the Mongols version, I think. Anyway, it doesn't matter, but
yeah.
um
Yeah,
this has a lot
actually,
of DNA with that.
actually, the guy who does, Sons of Anarchy and that other show that I can't think of at the moment, I noticed that he has a Western on Netflix now, so, maybe,
Really?
yeah.
Oh, really? Excellent. Yes. No. Oh,
Yeah.
well. Well, I'm not surprised. But anyway, I think this is just I think a little bit too slow for its own good. I'm fine with that. I enjoy that obviously, as Tom can attest
Mhm.
to. But I do think that it's
Mayans,
worth a visit.
MC. Mayans MC was the other one.
That's right.
But,
That's right.
yeah,
Thank you.
yeah,
Not Mongols, Mayans. Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Um, that unfortunately though for me like that one I just couldn't stick around for the later edges of that. But I don't. I don't think it's still on, but I have no idea. But anyway, it kind of reminds me of Sons of Anarchy, like because it does a lot of in and out, like from the characters like that. But you kind
Mhm,
of got to have a certain amount of action and pacing to keep that going on. Mad Men doesn't. Mad Men that it has nothing to do with any. Mad Men can get away with it because the scenery and whatnot.
mhm,
Unfortunately, like when you whet the appetite for action like that you get like with the Comanche and
mhm,
Eli's, kind of journey of like manhood of becoming a man and, becoming something from literally, we took everything away from you. Also, you're our slave and we're going to torture you and until you understand and get what it is and what the hell it
mhm,
is, you know, essentially the essence of like what his son or him or what the flame they hold for the time they have. Even when he's in the bed with his
mhm.
um I think he's widowed at that point, but
Yeah.
and even if he's not a scoundrel, he's kind of you don't really think of there's morality doesn't really come to play with Eli because he is
Mhm,
the king and this is his court and this is how he holds the courts, so to speak. But but he is a very flawed individual. It's just very interesting. Kind of that it just didn't quite stick the landing to stick around because it did kind of play with aspects of Hamlet and anyway.
yeah.
What I'm talking about is that Sons of Anarchy is based on Hamlet. It's all Shakespeare. Is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
All like they literally copied. That's all they did. Like they just did it. I'm not saying that I didn't enjoy it because I love Sons of Anarchy, but like you
Mhm,
know, Mayans MC was not the same thing as the original. Unfortunately, the son just didn't have it had audience, it had eyeballs. It just didn't have that it
yeah.
for it to continue on. And Yellowstone did, so there you go,
Yeah, and the even the even the name's kinda a little maybe a little confusing. The Sun,
Well, it's
it
kind of
doesn't.
generic, to be honest with
Yeah.
you. It's a
Yeah,
very
it
bad
doesn't.
name.
Yeah, it doesn't jump out at you, yeah. When you said it, last week, I was like, "What? The Sun?" And you go, "It's Western." I was like, "Okay," and then, yeah, I started looking at it, I was like, "Oh, okay,
Like,
that
what are you
sounds
talking about?
interesting." Right? And then the one that I was talking about, the Kurt Sutter from Sons of Anarchy,
Oh, yes.
created is called The Abandons. It's a Western. I think it's
Mm,
new to Netflix. I was noticing it when I was scrolling through. So yeah, that caught my eye. So we might look at that at one point. But yeah, yeah, it's just one of those things. It's just I know there should be audience for it. It's one of the shows that should have been around for a while. Maybe if it had been
hmm
on, maybe it was too soon or too late. I could see this as maybe not as violent, but on CBS, maybe a decade previously, it would worked
Yeah,
well
yeah, yeah, yeah.
during that,
PBS,
or
yeah.
yeah, or even among maybe say when Mad Men came out, it would have been pretty solid. But yeah, when it came out is probably lost among all the hundreds of streaming shows that were there, and it just didn't stand out. Didn't have a catchy name. You did have Pierce Brosnan, which would bring in maybe an older crowd, like you were saying.
Right.
But yeah, it just
I
didn't. Yeah.
I mean, I would say that you know, on paper, if we're going to be nerds, and we're kind of closing it out.
Mhm.
And there's a couple of things that I want to hit really importantly, but I'll get to. But I
Mhm.
will say this: I really enjoyed the Handmaid's Tale. This is a completely different friggin' thing, but like it's related because it's AMC and they are known for making fairly decent quality things that you can rely upon or be interesting at the very least.
Mhm.
Handmaid's Tale came out around that time. Actually, that was Hulu, not AMC.
Right,
Now I
yeah.
think about it. But anyway, just to correct myself, there was something more compelling there with Handmaid's Tale than this. And I wish I would have. Now, had I seen this around the same time, I would have stuck around for both. But I just wasn't aware of it. And that's kind of the problem.
Mhm.
The problem is with this, where we lead to is that that's the problem. The problem is that it's 2026 and I'm seeing shorts of it that bait my palate, that bait my curiosity for me enough to be compelled to go seek this thing out.
So
Because, well, just real quick, and I'll throw it back to you.
okay, yeah, yeah, yeah.
When shorts were a thing, if you would see a clip or something, it was so fucking annoying. You would see a clip of something. It could be a product, it could be a movie, it could be anything. And you want to, what is that thing? Or a comic book? What is that thing that I'm seeing? Like what episode, what season, what that? And nobody would put that fucking shit in there. And it would be very irritating. And they did that on purpose so that you would have to go to the comments to find what the thing is. Anyway, go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah, so you're saying you've seen this on Shorts. So is there like a kind of underground cult following of the show? Are they kind of keeping it alive? Are you aware
Oh yeah.
of that?
Oh yeah. Yeah, I don't, I'm not going to test the numbers. You know, I don't think it's millions. I think it's some, and I only feel uniquely qualified to have an opinion on this because I tailor my YouTube subscriber follow thing to be people who are not super millions or whatever that are like between like three people and like, you know, I kind of joke more than that really.
Mhm.
But to, you know, thousands to, you know, hundreds of thousands. And I think that it's in the hundreds of thousands of things that are only going to grow because I was in that mood and I have no idea how the algorithm works or whatever. But I do think that there are people out there that I haven't come into contact with that community per se, aside from
Mhm.
just really interesting comments that are on those shorts. But I'm not going to dwell on those because those, you know,
Yeah.
I'm not going to lean on those too hard because somebody else that I would not appreciate or like would say, well, look at all the things that somebody said in Reddit. So you know, it is, you know, buyer beware, I guess. I don't know. But I do think that it does have that, you know, the future. I don't know. But, you know, I think that this is something that, well, unfortunately, Pierce Brosnan is not getting any younger. And it's kind of a William Shatner situation, right? In Star Trek, right? So you have Star Trek things that go on, but are you ever going to see William Shatner in any Star Trek thing ever again? No. I mean, theoretically, yeah, maybe, but like this same thing with this. I don't think it. But anyway, I
Yeah.
would say that if nothing else, I don't know if there's a book series, but I would say this is at least good enough for a book read, and like see where you go. And you don't have to have 100 seasons of something to really be satisfied with that. I would say you can cut it off whenever you want. If you're
Mhm.
okay with that, then I think you're good. I think more people are getting comfortable with that position as they watch these things. Like, for example, if you watch a show or whatever, you cut it off at this point, you're good. You still go back to it. Like Witcher. Witcher is that classic thing that happened in real time that we covered. Witcher season one, we both were there. There was some entertainment going on. I'll put it that way.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I showed up for two. You didn't. You were like, nope. And that's so funny because like I we don't really have any connective tissue with Witcher, but there are other shows and seasons that are different for me and Tom, and he'll come in on that side, and I'll be like, "Whoa, what do you mean, man? It's still in this one." Like, like anyway, it's just funny how that works. So unfortunately, this is just like it just hit the twilight zone, and it's just disappeared. Like I don't.
Yep.
I wish they would do it, but like it's just gonna. Unfortunately, this is like that 50s or 60s film that just kind of languished. It was really good technically or whatever for what, it just didn't land. But I
Yeah.
flavored on too much for this. Go see it. At least give it 3 episodes. If you're not hooked, be on your way and you'll be fine. That's what I say.
Yeah. Oh, and I will say that I was looking at Philip Meyer. He has 3 novels. The Sun is the second one. His first novel, American
Yep.
Rust, became a television show as well on
Oh,
USA Network in 2017 as well. Looks like let's see. Oh, well, maybe it got ordered. It looks like the series premiered was in 2021. I don't know if it let's see. It has 2 seasons as well, so it didn't last long either. But he does have a new novel coming out this year called The City. So yeah, I don't think that they're interrelated because the American Rust takes place in the 2000s. But yeah, so yeah, and then one of the things is, unfortunately, westerns aren't popular anymore. So, you do have all those wonderful movies back in the 50s, 60s, 40s. You've got a plethora of westerns, but if you're into more modern westerns, you just played Red Dead Redemption. There's not a whole
right.
lot to choose from. So yeah, The Sun is a solid choice if you wanted to grab up a modern western to look at. Like I said, that yeah, you're not getting 1 or 2 westerns a year. You're lucky if you get 1 or 2. Half a decade. So so yeah, so your well is kind of run dry as far as if you've watched everything. As far as westerns, this would be a solid choice to take a look at, see if it tickles your fancy.
Yeah, I think I was just trying to I made a lot of notes for this.
Oh yeah, no
Yeah,
worries.
I think for the right viewer, for someone who appreciates, craftsmanship over convenience, the Sun is absolutely worth it. And I think that tailors through. But in or out. This has been one more episode of Binge Worthy? Question mark.
Mhm.
And I'm going to say yes, but with caveats. So with that being said, I've been Mike.
And I'm Tom. See you on the trail.
Yippee ki mother.